Hello everyone. So today we will start with the actual mathematical details of the factor analysis. So we are mainly going to study what is known as orthogonal factor model. So what we are trying to do here? So what we are supposed to do here? So as we discussed yesterday, I have few observed variables x1, x2, xp, but I'm not really interested in those variables. What I'm interested in are factors f1, f2, fk, and generally we want k to be much less than p. Okay? Why? Because one of the aims of factor analysis is again dimension reduction. Okay, so these are what is known as the latent variables that we were talking about. So latent variables which are called as factors, and we are trying to infer something about them via these observed p variables. So we are trying to express these observed p variables through these k variables, and we know that they can be connected with each other in multiple possible ways, right? So something like this, and so on. Correct? So all of them may be connected to all of them. Okay. So how do we achieve this? So what we want to do, let me try to write first. So what I want to do is, if suppose, let me first introduce notation for the mean and variance. So let expectation of my observed vector be mu and variance of my observed vector be sigma. Okay, so mu and sigma are the notations that we are going to use for mean and variance. So of course components of mu would be mu1, mu2, mu-p. Components of sigma would be sigma 1, 1, sigma 1, 2 and so on. So what we want to do is, we want to express this observed vector x as some transformation of the unobserved vector f, and mu would be here. So why would mu be here? So basically we are trying to have x minus mu, the centered version of x, as some transformation of f. Why do we want this to be centered? Because we are going to say that in our assumptions of orthogonal factor models, we are going to say that our factors are centered, because that helps us in further mathematical calculations. Okay, to have factors centered is a good thing for us. Okay, so in fact we would also have them scaled. So factors are centered, and later we will see that they are scaled also. So they have zero mean and unit variance. Okay, so we want to do something like this. So we want to express x as some transformation of f and mu. Now let me check the order. X is p cross 1, mu is p cross 1, f we want it to be k cross 1, k is the number of factors, so q would be p cross k. Okay, so we want to find q such that this happens. Now is it possible? Can I actually express a p cross 1 vector as some transformation of k cross 1 vector? Now your linear algebra theory comes into picture here. Okay, and we also did it at the beginning of our course. So suppose we know that, okay, x is say p cross 1 vector, and now I define a new vector y as, so now this x is in general. Okay, so I define a new vector y as say ax, okay, where a is q cross p. Okay, now what I know about variance of y is, variance of y would be a variance of x into a prime, correct? A sigma a prime, we have proved this in the first week. Okay, so what would be order of variance of y? This entire matrix, if I consider order, it is going to be q cross q. Now what happens if q is greater than p? If q is greater than p, you are trying to construct a bigger matrix from a smaller matrix, because sigma was p cross p. Okay, So as a result, your linear algebra theory would tell us that in such a case, my new matrix, so say sigma y, cannot have full rank. Okay, cannot have full rank. Why? So think intuitively. So when you say I am computing y as A times x and A is a transformation type of matrix, basically we are considering every y, say yi, as some linear function. So A, okay, let me write it properly in the matrix notation so that it's easier for all of you to understand. I'm writing it in the side part because it's not part of regular discussion of factor analysis. Okay, so I want y, y1, y2, yq. I want this to be as a11, a12 up to a1p. Similarly, aq1 up to aqp. Okay, and into x1, x2, xp, and we are assuming right now my q is larger than p. So in general, if I take any y, yi, it would be ith row of A into this vector. Correct? So ith row of A, so sum over A, I, L, XL, where L goes from 1 to P. Correct? So every yi is a linear combination of xi's. Okay? So when I try to have more yi's than xi's that I have, than the number of xi's that I have, then at least some of these yi's will have zero variance because they will be linear combination of remaining yi's. Okay, I cannot create, see, think in terms of basis. Okay, you have this, I don't know how comfortable you are with all these linear algebra ideas, but let us try. So you have this p-dimensional vector and you are trying to transform it to a q-dimensional vector where q is larger. So if you have p linearly independent vectors, then you cannot create, say, q linearly independent vectors from them by this. Okay, so they are going to be dependent on each other and hence at least some of the yi's are going to have zero variance. Okay, as a result, my variance covariance matrix of y would be singular. So here that is exactly what we are trying to do. K, we said, is supposed to be less than P. So we are saying that we are kind of taking some transformation on F to get a higher order vector. Okay. So this would be possible. This would be possible if and only if variance covariance matrix of X is singular. So its determinant is 0. And not just singular, actually we would say that rank of sigma would be, sorry, I don't need determinant here, rank of sigma would be k, because if my smaller vector has order k, then I can get exactly k linear combinations which have non-zero variance. Okay, everything else will have zero variance. Hence, rank of sigma would be k. So this is possible only if rank of sigma is k. So for the sake of convenience, let me assume that rank of sigma is k. Is it clear why we need rank to be k? Because then only we can express a vector as linear combination of a vector of smaller order. Okay, assume that rank of sigma is k. So what it means is, if lambda 1, lambda 2 up to lambda p are eigenvalues of sigma arranged in the decreasing order of their magnitude, are eigenvalues of sigma, then lambda k plus 1, lambda k plus 2 up to lambda p would be 0. correct? If rank is k, then only k eigenvalues will be non-negative, and in this case they will be positive because we have a variance covariance matrix, and all the remaining eigenvalues would be 0. Okay, so let us try to use this now. Okay, let us try to use this to see if we get what we want. What we want is to find a vector f such that expectation of f is a 0 vector and variance covariance matrix of f is actually identity matrix of order k. Okay, so we want the factors to be scaled, and not just scaled, we want them to be uncorrelated with each other. Okay, we want them to be uncorrelated with each other. Is it okay? Because that simplifies our life to a great extent. Okay, so what I have is this original sigma. Now again we are going to use linear algebra theory. So we know spectral decomposition. I hope all of you are aware of spectral decomposition. So spectral decomposition tells me that I can write my sigma as gamma lambda gamma prime, where this is a diagonal matrix with eigenvalues as the diagonal entries. Okay, this is a diagonal matrix with eigenvalues of sigma as diagonal entries, and this is a matrix of eigenvectors. Okay, this is a matrix of eigenvectors. So in this case, spectral decomposition tells me that I can write sigma as this. Now we have this additional information that eigenvalues starting from k plus first eigenvalue, they are all 0. So let me slightly partition my things. Okay, so this is gamma 1, gamma 2. How is the order? See, currently this is of order p cross p, but I want only k eigenvalues in the first part. I mean eigenvectors corresponding to only k eigenvalues in the first part. So the remaining part is p cross p minus k. Lambda also can be partitioned in a similar manner. So I have here lambda 1, which is k cross k, but the diagonal entries are the first k eigenvalues. This is a 0 matrix, this is a 0 matrix, because anyway the original thing was diagonal matrix. And now in lambda 2 also all my eigenvalues are 0, so this is also a 0 matrix of order p minus k cross p minus k. Okay, and then gamma prime I would write as gamma 1 prime, gamma 2 prime, where gamma 1 and gamma 2 are coming from here. Correct? So now, okay, so let me try to simplify this further. So I have sigma as, we will use multiplication of partitioned matrices. Now we know that sigma is variance covariance of x, but it is also variance covariance of x minus mu also, because variance is not affected by the change in shift in origin. Correct? So we will keep it as it is. So this is gamma 1, gamma 2, this is lambda 1, 0, 0, 0, and gamma 1 prime, gamma 2 prime. Okay. Now let us go back to PCA theory. What did PCA tell me? PCA told me that I could have my PCs. Okay, so let y be my PCs. So let y be principal components computed from sigma. after centering. Okay. Then I could write y as gamma prime x minus mu, because PCs were obtained by using eigenvectors, and this was actually homework for you. How do you write PCs as matrix of eigenvectors into original data? I had given this exercise for finding relationship between score matrix and original matrix. So this is how you get that. Okay, so you can, okay, maybe I can simplify, just to verify what we are doing is correct. So I have y1, y2, yp, because we get p PCs, and gamma prime would be gamma 1 prime. So this is first eigenvector, gamma 2 prime up to gamma p prime, and then we have x1 minus mu1, x2 minus mu2 up to xp minus mu p. Okay, right now in this form they are not compatible, because gamma 1 prime itself is 1 cross p, so entire thing is p cross p, this is p cross 1. So actually my first entry is going to be gamma 1 prime into this entire vector. Okay, let me write. So gamma 1 prime into entire vector x minus mu would be my first entry. Second entry would be gamma 2 prime into x minus mu. This makes sense, because that's what we said, that we would take the coefficients from the eigenvectors. For first PC we use only first eigenvector, for second PC we use only second eigenvector, and for pth PC we use only pth eigenvector. Okay, so this is how we get PC. We know this theory, correct? So we will use this theory. So now my y I will write as y1, y2. Okay, so again y1, y2 is divided in the same order. So k cross 1 and p minus k cross 1. And then this gamma prime I would write as gamma 1 prime, gamma 2 prime. Here I am dividing them into again k and p minus k type of thing. And then x minus mu. Okay, and what do I know about distribution of y? I know that this would have mean 0 because we have centered it, and it would have variance covariance matrix same as diagonal matrix with eigenvalues at the diagonal. We have proved this in PCA, correct? So this is variance covariance matrix of y. Okay, remember I am using notation similar to normal, but I am not writing that things are normal. I am saying y has this mean and this variance, but I have not written n here because I have not assumed any distribution. Okay, so please don't get confused. Okay, so y has a singular distribution. What do I mean by singular distribution? Its variance covariance matrix does not have full rank. Okay, its variance covariance matrix does not have full rank. Now, okay, so what I have so far is y is equal to gamma prime x minus mu. Now we know that, okay, so because we know that the matrix of eigenvectors is orthogonal, I can write gamma y as gamma prime x minus mu. Okay, and because it is orthogonal, gamma prime will be identity. So I have gamma y as x minus mu. So I have x minus mu as gamma, I will split again as gamma 1, now I'll have gamma 1 and gamma 2 because I don't have transpose anymore, and then I'll have y1, y2. So I could write this as gamma 1 y1 plus gamma 2 y2, correct? But we saw here the distribution, mean for y2 is 0 and variance for y2 is also a 0 matrix. Okay, so basically y2 is a vector degenerate at 0. Degenerate at 0. So it is always 0. 0 of order k cross 1. It is always 0. So I can simply write this as gamma 1 y1. Okay, x minus mu I can write as gamma 1 y1. But wait, don't get excited. I finally want x minus mu as some q into f, where f is of order k cross 1. So you might feel, okay, my job is done because y1 is of order k cross 1. But no, I also want my f's to be scaled and centered. I want expectation of f to be 0. I want variance coefficient of f to be identity matrix. So we have not yet done that. So what we'll do is we'll do minor adjustment. I'll have gamma 1 and then I'll bring in lambda 1 raised to half, lambda 1 raised to minus half, y1. So I'm basically not changing the equation because these two are inverses of each other. So it's an identity matrix. The product is identity. But now I will regroup them in a different fashion. And I'll have lambda 1 raised to minus half y1. So what happens because of this is, now this part, I'm sorry, this half should be inside. Okay, so this is wrong. Yeah. So this part I will start calling as Q and this part I will start calling as F. Why? Because now my variance of F would be lambda 1 raised to minus half y1 into lambda 1 raised to minus half prime. Correct? By formula. And lambda is a diagonal matrix, so prime is itself. So lambda 1 raised to minus half variance of y1 and again lambda 1 raised to minus half and variance of y1 is lambda 1. So I'll have lambda 1 raised to minus half, lambda 1 raised to minus half, which is nothing but identity matrix. Okay, and mean of y was anyway 0, so that is not an issue. Okay, so what we have done here is, yes, we have finally got x as, or centered x, so x minus mu as some matrix into some factors. F is a vector of order k cross 1, q is of order p cross k. But this could be achieved only because I had assumed that my lambda k plus 1, lambda k plus 2, etc. are all 0. Okay, this was my assumption, which is not going to be true in real life. Okay, which is never going to be true in real life. And hence, as I said, in factor analysis, we almost always have an approximate solution. We never have an exact solution. Exact solution would be possible if this happens, but this happens very, very, very rarely in real life. Okay, so we are going to modify our model to allow for that error. So we will introduce an error term here after this, and with that error term we will decide how to proceed and our assumptions, etc. So but today I will stop here. Okay, thank you.